Good times, my fellow humans. If it is not good, then it's about to get better. Welcome to the Be Different podcast. My name is Nekesa Ochieng, and I am glad to have you here. Welcome to another exciting episode of Be Different podcast. As always, I'm excited to be here and I'm excited to be telling you the story. So today, I am the guest. Nekesa Ochieng, your host, is your guest. So I'm going to just tell a very short story. It's going to be a short episode. I'm just going to tell a short story which was brought to light by just recently a few friends of mine and I were talking, and it started from someone was talking about Tinder, and then we were like, yeah, by the way, Tinder, oh yeah, that happens, still happens. And then it brought to remembrance the number of times I've been on blind dates, or the blind dates that I've been to, and I thought, oh, by the way, why not tell the story? I have actually thought of telling this story several times before, but the chance is here now. So here today, you're going to hear about my blind dates in this Nairobi town, in this Nairobi city. Of course, I'll profile the most memorable, just a few. So having the kind of background that I had, which was being molested as a child, I grew up not being able to believe that someone who is into me is genuinely into me, or someone who's hitting on me is genuinely hitting on me. I always thought, oh, first I totally believed the narrative that I'm damaged goods and therefore I had nothing to offer. I was just like, these people don't know what they're getting themselves into by coming on to me, so just leave me alone and leave me in my own space. Of course, I also had major trust issues. Therefore, I ended up being very comfortable behind gadgets, behind computers, behind phones, super comfortable. I can talk to you, I can just, first I could be whoever I wanted to be behind a machine. And then I could be, the real version of me. Maybe that day I just want to unload, and this happened for so long because I remember I started studying. I picked computers when I was in high school as an elective option, and that's when I actually entered into that world of chatting and being behind machines and just talking to strangers. And it was fun. And at first it started innocently as fun, just being who you want to be. You could paint whatever picture you wanted to paint to whoever was behind the screen, whether it was a guy or a chick or whoever. The fun part. But I realized these things which started as chatting ended up being a very important aspect of my life. It was how I met so many people. I went for blind dates. Yeah, me and my trust issues. I went for several blind dates. So here's the thing. So first I told you it started when I picked computers as an option when I was in high school. And therefore, during computer lessons, you will be so happy just being given your own machine. Of course, signing in, you have your first email address, Yahoo boys, and then just getting into it and started chatting and different chatting sites. Then, after high school, of course, we graduated and I went on to, I believe I had a mobile device, the old ones, and we started with a platform called To Go. Then we went to a platform called Mic 33. I remember clearly. And I was talking to strangers. Of course, you talk to first so many people, like you start with a bunch of many guys, you start in a bunch of rooms, different rooms talking about different topics, and then you narrow it down. The two of you get a room, like a private, like DMs. What is DM nowadays? So we go aside, you talk, 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 talk. It could end up into a physical meeting or not. It wasn't a must. So I'm just going to tell my most memorable. So having started first, before I went to university, I that period when you stay at home, we used to chat. We used to chat with this guy. I just remember he used to work at the airport, therefore he was on at night, and therefore we used to talk at night because I think I didn't have a mobile device and I was using my mom's. And she would let me. So so one day the guy asked us to meet. I remember going to meet him one of the Saturdays. So I've talked to him. I've told him I'm leaving home, so I don't have a mobile phone to walk around with. At the time, there used to be simia jamis in town, or telephone booths where you could go make a call, pay afterwards. So I went, I got to town, made a call, told him, hey, I'm around, I'm here. So I'm coming. He told me, I'm in a white t-shirt and in a white hat. Come to this and this place, you'll find me there. It was a Saturday afternoon, there was football, and therefore the place was a bit crowded and the place was, hyped. Everyone was coming out, whether you're a football fan or not, you're just going to town to hang out. Saturdays afternoons, eh? So I go to town to meet the guy. And I get there where he's told me that he was standing at the door waiting for me. That's what he said. So the door, it's a bit crowded. People are waiting for their dates, their people. So I get there, and the person I'm seeing and the person I'm expecting to see, but I'm seeing a white t-shirt and a white hat. But there's a big but. So I just walk. My legs refused to stop. I just walked around. I passed. I honestly just passed, and I told myself. So I started giving myself pep talks. You have to go. Just be courteous. Say hi to the guy. Just hang out with him for the afternoon, even if it's not what you expected of him. You could always come back again. You could always, just move on with your life. So I go round, I go and I pass there again, and I'm like, this time I will stop. Guess what, guys? I didn't stop. A second and a third time, and I decided, you know what? It's never that serious. I went, caught my job, and went home. So getting home at night when my mom comes, I'm like, Mommy, please, can I have your phone? So the guy's like, but then why didn't you come? Why didn't you show up? I was like, where? I came. My legs, Aki, they refused to stop. I'm like, are you that short? Are you that dark? Are you the one who was standing? I was like, no. My legs completely refused to stop. He was like, no, that's my friend. He was so eager to meet you. And therefore, he was the one who was so eagerly, looking at everyone who was passing outside the club. That was that. That guy lost his chance, and that's how I went home. So anyway, we kept talking, and the guy came. Some other time, the guy came and said hi. Then we move on. So I move on with my life, of course. So finally, he came, saw me, said hi. Life just moves on. It was a very, ghosting happened. Whatever. We just moved on with life. So the second meeting I'm going to tell you about. I remember this one time. There are times I met like really nice guys. There's this guy I met. Huh? This guy. But he was those dangerous guys, dangerous kind of guys, Nairobi people, if you know them. So I met this guy who was such a good cook. We met in town. Then he was like, I would like to cook for you. So I was like, okay. Yes, Nekesa with her trust issues got a job, went to someone's house. The guy, true to his word, he made a really nice meal. We had a good time. He told me, after meeting now, you can unearth and mask, remove all those layers. So he told me that he hadn't stayed in Nairobi for long. His mom was abroad. He was here, but then he was here just by himself, and he was an only kid. Interesting. So we spoke, and we were good friends for such a long period of time, until one day I got a call, and the other side of the call was like, "Excuse me, leave my boyfriend alone." So you had a girlfriend in this Nairobi. Anyway, so that was that. I told the guy, if you have a girlfriend, please, I wouldn't want to be that person. Just move on with your life. But this guy was in and out of my life for quite some time. We were good friends, and yeah, that's just one example of how a good blind date went like really good. So another one. Oh, this is exciting. So we are chatting. These are different platforms, by the way, different years. I'm moving on with my life. I've moved on. I've gotten into college. Yeah, now I'm in university. So this guy tells me, you know what? I am deaf mute. I'm like, okay. To be seen, to be believed. You know. Um. Anyway, so we meet up in this Nairobi town, and the guy actually literally comes. He's very handsome, dark, tall, the works. But guess what? The guy is really actually not talking because he can't hear. So we sit in the restaurant and it's very awkward. And now we have to type. I really, let me tell you, but then this is not, I'm not saying it in bad faith. I had an experience of my life. He taught me sign language. Okay, first we chat. First, of course, it was a bit awkward the first few minutes, and then he taught me. We texted each other first in the restaurant. We're like, I'm writing a text. What I want to tell him and show him on my phone, and he does the same. This time now, yes, we have mobile phones. We have evolved. We've grown. So he tells me he's feeling uncomfortable sitting in the restaurant, blah, blah, blah. So we leave, we go to the house, we go to my home. I'm still living in my parents' home. So we go to my home and he sees where I live. And guys, where that was a ride of my life, a ride of my time. At some point, that one lasted for a few months, years, I can't remember, but it was a good experience. That's how I learned the Kidogo sign language that I know. He taught me. He was just teaching me how to talk to him, how to communicate, and it's I don't know. It lasted for as long as it lasted, right? And then any other memorable one? Yeah, I remember another memorable one. I was working this time round, but this is between either it was in between years. You know the way we used to close for several months. So I'm working in one of the offices in town, and then I'm moving on and I'm chatting. Because I mean, guys, the beauty of being whoever you want to be behind the screen and behind a machine. So I'm working one day. I've told this guy where I'm working, I've said everything. Then the guy actually shows up in the office. Can you believe it? I was like, and this one terrified me. The way he looked, how he had dressed, and I had to tell him, you know what? I'm not allowed to have guests in the office, so please, can I, I can't have guests in the office. You just have to leave. It was very weird, and that one ended as soon as it began. And then moving on, Facebook comes. Hello, Facebook. I mean, marriages have been formed on Facebook. Okay, not mine, other people's marriages. So Facebook comes. I move on, we move on. So many years. Actually, now I've finished campus. I'm in Nairobi, back hustling. No, 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 no. Before I tell you that one for Facebook, let me tell you another one. So there was another platform. There are several platforms. There's another one called Badu. If you know any of these platforms, hey, you guys, we've been through it. There was another one. I can't remember its name. From Badu, I think I met two people, very professional, meetups. Some of those people are still my friends to date through the different social media networks. So I met one guy. I was in Mombasa interning. So there's a time, the internships that you have to do when you're in university. So I was in Mombasa, I was doing my internship. Then this guy's in Nairobi. So this guy sounds so lovely, so nice. He's giving me all his true versions. I think this is also Facebook, if I'm not wrong. I'm not sure. So anyway, we talk, and the guy is so disciplined. These good people, these guys who are ready to meet and settle down. Esther Nekesa is up and down, living her best life, just chatting away. Anyway, so I met this guy, and now we're back in Nairobi. I used to be like a drunkard those days. So for me, any meal could go with a drink. So I remember meeting up with him. This is one of those dates that went south. That date went south, and it went south very fast. So this guy, we've spoken. I think I'm the ideal chick according to him. So according to the conversations that we had, he said, the moment I meet up with you, then we start dating. I mean, because that was the only thing remaining. Everything else on paper was perfect. So I come to Nairobi and I'm like, hey, I've landed, da 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 da. So we meet up. Hey, that meetup. Nairobi, ladies, This guy is the bouncer type. In town, you walk with him, you just know, you feel protected. But that date went south very fast, because I mean, I think he was a good guy. He was ready to settle down. He was serious. And me, I'm there. Me, I still want to go out. I still want to drink. I still want to have fun. I was not serious at all, at all, at all. Let's just say the truth. So I've had my whatever meal I had. He was super against whatever I had. Like, he was this healthy people. How can you come here and have fries? How can you come here and ask for a drink in the middle of the day? Mchana jua imewaka saa nane. I was like, okay. So he bought for me the first drink, and he was like, I finished and I said, yeah, I wouldn't mind another drink. The date is still on. He's like, hey, you buy yourself the other drink. Not that I didn't have the money, but he was against the whole thing, the whole idea. I think that just the fact that I was drinking alcohol was just a total turn off for him. Anyway, yeah, so that date went south very fast. Either he left me at the restaurant, or I left him, but we didn't part ways nicely. We exchanged words, because I'm just thinking, who's judging you? Who's judging you on the first date like this? I was out there living my best life, guys. These dates were just for eating and for having fun. Anyway, I was such an now by this time I've grown this thick skin. I'm just like, chatting, meeting, moving on, chatting, meeting, moving on, do whatever you want to do. And interesting enough, this thing has gone on even until the time I was meeting my husband. Like, I was meeting three guys at the time. So I've been introduced to he was introduced, we were introduced to each other. And this other one, I don't know, we met on what platform? I don't know. But it was an online platform. That guy was super boring. Boring with capital B. Hey, if you're looking for a guy who's like, that Christian church. Okay, I'm not saying they are, but guy, douche. That guy was boring. Anyway, so my point is, this blind date thing and blind date, that was my way of meeting people and dating. But anyway, the hottest one now coming through Facebook. So I'm in town, I'm in Nairobi, back in Nairobi, I'm working. I'm still wondering, how do people just meet up, and talk and start dating? So for me, chatting, and then meeting up made sense. So we started chatting with this guy. I don't know where he got me from. He just sent me a friend request and I accepted, and he started talking and we started chatting. So we spoke, and then he asked for a meetup. This is the oldest I've ever dated. So I go, I meet the guy, and he just, he's like over 40, he's like 45. And he tells me everything in the first 5 minutes. He's like, I'm a divorcee, I'm a father of, I think, one or two. He was a father of two. And yeah, and like, now these are boundaries, lines that we've never crossed, and blah 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 blah. And I was freaking out, and I sat there and I met the guy, and that was that character development relationship. That guy, he ironed me out. I didn't know what he was looking for, but he didn't understand how I wanted to go out, and like, without him. Like, me, I'm out there, I'm going out, I'm doing things, da 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 da. He's like, go back home and go sleep. Like, at this time, I'm not sleeping until you're home, until you go home and sleep. And I'm thinking, in this Nairobi, there's someone who cares about you, like, cares like that. So that's when I actually understood the aspect of jealousy in relationships. Like, this guy really liked me, and he really cared, was concerned about me. Oh, please. Okay, point is, I was messed up in this Nairobi, going out every other day. I just had my first job, and it was messed up. Anyway, that's me, and those are blind dates. And I've just told you the highlights. I don't want to go into all the details of all the blind dates I've had. But how do you meet people in this Nairobi? At the end of the day, like I told you, someone introduced us. Someone introduced me to my now current husband, Alphonse, someone had to introduce us. And then and that person had to lie. First, she told him that I was interested in him, and I was asking for his number, and she told me the same thing. So therefore, when you're going to meet, we're all thinking you are interested in me, and he's thinking I am interested in him. That's how it happened, and that's how it worked. You see how God works behind the scenes. Anyway, people, this was about blind dates. So are you on Tinder? And are you on, I had another one. I've forgotten the names. Are you on any dating sites, and have you met crazy, weird people? And how has that experience been for you? That's my blind date story in Nairobi. And I really hope, I wanted to tell it very fast, and I wanted to be just interesting and short and fun. So I hope you had fun. Have a good one. And thank you for always listening. It is always a pleasure to have hosted you. Thank you for listening. Follow us on the socials, Instagram and Twitter at BeDifferentKE, at I am Nekesa. Facebook is Nekesa Ochieng. Let's keep talking.